But social media is also a double-edged sword. There are so many brickbats and trolls sitting out there. So how do you deal with that?
Now that I'm a grown woman, I open my bag of what all fucks. It's empty, fully empty. And
How do you balance professional and personal?
I don't do it. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
I need to prove myself.
How does it work? Because the woman can't be a superwoman. A superwoman, I hate that word.
That's the other side of social media. It makes everybody believe that you're living this perfect life.
There's nothing called perfect. There's nothing called 100%.
Shut your mind off.
Do you shut?
What has been your retail journey, and now how many stores do you have?
By this month end, we'll have 2 more, so 12.
Do you also believe that, omni-channel is a way to go for D2C?
Omni-channel. Just सोचने में इतना आसान है कि यहाँ से खरीदा, यहाँ पे रिटर्न कर दिया, एक्सचेंज कर दिया.
But growth is something that, from one day to another day, you will feel like कि कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. 2 step आगे जाके ना 1 step पीछे आ गए. लेकिन when you see your growth over a period of 5 years or 6 years, you will be like, oh my god, मैं कहाँ थी?
Because it's come a long way.
So how will you describe your Suta follower in 3 words?
Independent, loyal, amazing.
Today, we have the co-founder of one of India's most fashion-forward brands, a brand that was built on social media and has intricately woven its threads into the hearts of consumers nationally and internationally. Based on the Sanskrit word Suta, which means thread, and also short for the founder sisters Sujata and Tanya. Today, we will uncover how these sisters have built this beautiful brand online and retail and use social media as a strategy to drive growth for their business. Welcome to Tanya, co-founder of Suta, to Women Speak podcast. So welcome Tanya to the Women Speak podcast.
Super happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here and always amazing to meet you in person.
It is. And I just feel like we chat so much and we talk so much about things happening and not happening every day. It doesn't feel like...
Yeah, we are background WhatsApp note takers.
Yeah. What's life without that?
Yeah. So, let's start with the initial journey of Suta. How did you build this brand on social media and then scaled it so big nationally, internationally, and now in retail? So, what were your, stepping stones and how did it all start?
So I started Suta with my sister Sujata. Su and Ta together became Suta, and we both are engineers at MBAs. When we used to come back from the office, we used to always discuss that what is it that will make sense in life, we'll be really happy doing. So all these conversations led to thinking about what we really want to do and something that will make us happy and wake up on a Sunday morning also and not crib about working. So we thought that impact is one reason that we can look at, and after a lot of discussions, we felt that there's a gap where weavers don't get direct work, they're middlemen, so we can impact there. And the second one is bringing sarees back. So these two married and Suta happened, and Suta happened on a Facebook page because being frugal is what entrepreneurship is about. And
this is which year?
This is 2014.
2014, you started a Facebook page. Instagram was not even there, I think.
It was not even Suta back then. It was some other name. It was As I See. It was an experiment. With our jobs, we were trying our hands. It was initially a photo shoot page. We used to help NGOs to do product photo shoot. And then slowly the discussions, became different routes, paths had been taken. And then As I See was like that for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And when we realized that it's great, the demand is much more than we can supply, that's the time we quit in 2016 and officially coined Suta. And again, that was also dramatical, that Suta, it means thread, wow, it's the universe telling you to...
Meant to be.
Yeah, and when you get this energy that, the universe is trying to make sense of what you are trying to do, and it's a sign.
It's a manifestation.
It's meant to. And that the same day, very dramatically, we both of us quit at the same time.
Voting.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. But I think
Bollywood.
dramatic things lead to things which
Yeah.
are more dramatic and exciting.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that, in the last 8 years, you've built such a strong social media following and so much customer loyalty. What was the point that you realized that social media is going to be a game changer for you?
Honestly, we just wanted to be everywhere where there's no money involved. And we didn't spend um, for marketing for the first 2 years, didn't spend a bit. It was all organic, and social media helped us the most. Imagine we didn't even have a website for 2 years, just Facebook page. And it was, studying MBA and doing this things. You look back and you really find it funny because having a website would have sorted a lot of things, but you do mistakes. But there we realized that word of mouth really helped, and social media was not as cluttered that back then, and we felt that our voice was heard very beautifully. That if you are honest and say what you want to say, people interact. And we also met those people who were in Bombay that time to understand what they're thinking about the brand. It was very easy to connect with people, and we used to take orders there, maintain an Excel sheet, and it worked absolutely fine until a point where it became chaotic that, oh, Excel sheets are not working anymore, and why don't we have a website yet? How stupid. And yeah, it started there. And honestly, we felt that the customer base there, it was not strategy there that we want to grow, or it's a strategy that we will grow the following ways. We just thought that it has to be a community that we share our opinions and share generally our journeys, because we are very like-minded people. And me and Sujata, both of us used to handle social media ourselves. Like, I'm sure you also did that. And and then we realized that people sending pictures, because it's a small brand, they know who the founders are. So everybody shared pictures when they got the product. They loved it. And we used to post it. How the pictures are taken, if it's blur, or if it's a bathroom selfie or anything, we should put them up. Have our opinion. We used to write what we think about the picture of the person, if it has mentioned something about them. And now people say that, was it a strategy of UGC and you were doing that? But we didn't know what UGC was then, and it was not a strategy. But looking back, it was great that we started doing it. People connected, and they have stayed loyal. I've known people since 8 years now. It's how old the brand is. And I meet them, I feel like they're part of the family.
Yeah. I think you've always written very beautiful descriptions and taken it's like scenes out of stories to describe what the person is wearing. And I think it just makes it very, very special for the customer to almost feel like a model, or, and a celeb in that particular setting.
We all are in our lives, right? We are the heroes of our own lives.
Yeah.
And if you can celebrate it in a small way, why not? Just how you see things, and if you can express it. Honestly, even now till date, if we get a lot of pictures, and at the end of the day, I sit and scroll through all of them, because it just gives me so much pleasure to see those posts and pictures.
And the beautiful, that entire camaraderie that you have created out of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, I mean, as a founder, I'm sure in the beginning you were doing it for frugality, modeling yourself in front of the camera. But as the business has scaled, you and Sujata continue to be the face of the brand, and, always appear in Suta saris and do your new launches and, dance around and all. And I know at the background, there's so much work which is going on. You guys have built a huge team, and there's digital marketing, and then there's operations and supply chain. How are you doing all of that while staying the model? What is how do you deal with that kind of pressure to be present for your community, but, all the founder work in the background?
It looks like we are doing a lot, and we get this question a lot, that don't you get tired? Where do you get this energy from? But of course we get tired. There are days that are not as great and low. But we take every minute as it comes. If it is on my to-do list, I just do it, and not think about the whole day ahead. And we just break piece by piece. And the one thing that has really worked for us is that if you are present in that moment, if you are giving your 100% and not thinking about anything else, like we are talking now, and I've forgotten that I'm in Bangalore, that I have a flight to catch, or anything away apart from this. Now you're asking me, so I'm thinking, but I'm just here, sitting with you. I don't know who is here, all the cameras there, but I'm just sitting here, just chit-chatting with you as we always do. And I think I'm shut and that's how we can get things done. And being models, that was not the plan for me. I am the photographer. Sujata is the model. That's how it started. And again, when we reached out to people in the start, and the depth of one design is so less. It was max 5.
Oh,
And if I put the photo shoot charges on top of that, like imagine the cost would go so high, overheads go so high, and then it doesn't make sense. So we started shooting ourselves because I have learned photography, and it was headless pictures in the start of Sujata's. And one fine day, and she used to stand like that. She has a long neck, and she'd do that. So so it's just she never combed her hair, did anything. One day I said, just put kajal and lipstick, no. And she said, fine, I'll do it. So I was editing the pictures. I edited myself, and I said, Sujata, you're looking. Why don't I put your hair? You're looking so nice. And she's like, do whatever, Tanya. Don't tell me. And I started putting her pictures, and it received great response because it just is so relatable. It was just girl next door, and it worked. Later, a lot of people generally said that we also want to see the other sister, but I didn't go. But when we had a team of creative people who shot for us in-house, then I was pushed in front of the camera. And honestly, I started enjoying it because I love wearing saris. So I didn't think I'll enjoy it as much, but it's fun to own up the products. These products that you have seen from scratch, from the thread to the making. So you know the story of the product. So wearing it makes it more special. So we have tried to change it also in between to have models wear it, a drape artist to drape it. It failed. But again, there are a couple of faces that we work with, which is, again, girl next door. And sari is draped normally how we drape it, and not very properly, because it's very daunting to see a sari draped properly. And Suta is not like that. Suta is not perfect. So we celebrate that.
That's the thing about social media today. The authenticity works so much better than like a produced perfectionist kind of a content.
Yeah, definitely. People want to see the behind the scenes. They enjoy that more than any perfectly shot, beautiful video.
I always feel, that people are right now viewing brands like a big boss. Like, they want to see everything which is happening inside. What is the inside gossip and the inside story?
Yeah.
And how are people actually doing it?
They feel a part of it.
And which is a campaign which has worked beautifully for you and, helped you get a lot of attention. And
I'll talk about 2 campaigns. They're 2 very beautiful campaigns and are very close to my heart. One is Bachpan, which we did this during the 26th of Jan, where we... so it's a very... not a great month usually in terms of sales for the entire industry. So we thought we have so much time to think and do something that is very close to our heart, and it's not a rush. So we went back to our villages where the weavers are... most of our weavers are there, and where we work in the schools with the kids, with the teachers, for the infra, etc. We went there and we sat with them and we said, let's do a drawing competition and let's give the kids a free canvas of saying that if you wanted to just, think about your world or something that's very special to you, just paint it. They painted it. We could not select a winner. It was so difficult. We just gave awards to every kid because we just couldn't do it. And we thought that we will pick the best ones and make saris out of it. Wow. And then, the weaver, the families will be so proud to weave something and draw something or the kids have done.
Yeah.
And seeing it sell, seeing it on people. I'm getting goosebumps as I speak. So we did that, and since we could not pick a winner, we picked elements from all the kids' paintings and we did saris, and it was such a hit. And we told and showed the entire process of how we did it. It was just very organic, and people absolutely loved it, and the whole collection was sold out.
Wow.
And honestly, it's a lot of times it's the story that sells than just the product.
Yeah.
And when we always believed when we started that if you know the story of a product, you care about it much better.
More emotionally for it.
Yeah. And it becomes, the longevity increases because you're taking care of the product.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a very close to my heart. Another one, which is the Pride campaign.
Yeah.
Which You won't believe when we saw the graph of the performance in Instagram, it was a high peak and a high fall. The follows increased, unfollows increased. It balanced out.
Oh, wow.
But I had such a mix of emotion I have about it, that so many new people came in, and because it's so inclusive and so beautiful it is, and so many people left because they just could not
Yeah, because of an
accept what
unconscious bias.
we are doing, and we went all out
Yeah,
talking
it was
about
beautiful.
inclusivity.
I saw all of that.
But we'll keep doing things that we really believe in, no matter what the response is. And I think people should start accepting things that you don't like, maybe, or you don't, because it is there. And, if brands can speak about it from a very balanced point of view, it's nice.
Yeah, because it's not always the responsibility of the brand to be the people pleaser.
Yes.
And that comes to my next question about the viral trend. Do you follow like viral trends, and does that help you? Or you would rather stay away from the crazy trends which keep popping up on Instagram?
Honestly, as much as I want to deny it, I wait for things to go viral. Like,
Of course, everybody waits for things to go
and
viral. But viral doesn't always mean more sales. It just means more views and boost.
Sure, boost, and it's just reaching more people.
Yeah.
And it has to happen. And brands, especially small brands and homegrown brands, they want peaks without investing all their hard-earned money into marketing, paid marketing. So virality is something that everybody is looking at, and getting onto trends. Why not? So recently, very cringe. But I myself kept watching those things, because it's just so funny. Like that bull kicking a person and a person flying off and coming with products that are gir. So
Yeah,
So
they're very
we
weird
did that.
trends.
And it just worked.
It was one like, who is the coconut it breaking up and suddenly you are
Right.
showing sort.
I did that, and my team was like, and we can't throw water on you. I said, just throw it, and it's just so hot. I'll just enjoy it rather. And it got us traction. It got us views, and it worked. Why not? As long as it doesn't, it's not against the brand values or ethos or anything like that. Cringe is okay, and I think cringe is nice. If people are getting addicted to cringe, why not? Because I myself go for cringe.
Yeah, there's so much cringy stuff going on right now that you're like, okay, fine.
I watch it myself. Like, constantly been binge watching cringe stuff. It's yeah. And do you do in your brand also? Do you do all these trends or these days?
We do sometimes, and then we're like, oh my god, I don't want to see myself. Please don't show me the video before you edit it. I can't see myself doing this. Just post it. And never hide somewhere.
Never say no to things.
Yeah,
We have to just do it.
anything that brings in money, it's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, views, because finally
Eyeballs.
it's become your potential customers. Yeah.
Anything for eyeballs.
But social media is also a double-edged sword. There are so many brickbats and trolls sitting out there. And I'm sure in this 8-year-long journey, you've also facing some trolling and everything. So how do you deal with that? And, do you block this out, or do you let people say whatever they want? How do you deal with it?
Earlier, we have even cried. Say someone saying something which is not true, but we just cried because it used to affect us so much. But that was long time back. Now it's we have realized that it's not on us; it's
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
They must be going through something. It's not about generally social media, but about life is also. That if somebody is generally passing on hatred or negativity, it's not on you. And once you start believing it and, accepting it, you are in a much better place. I recently read about this an author of Purple Hibiscus. She said that, now that I'm a grown woman, I I opened my bag of what what all fucks. It's empty. It's fully empty and it's beautiful. So I just related. I related to it so much that yeah, as long as it doesn't affect you, you can do things about it and think rationally about how to deal with these hate comments. We usually go and respond to it. We don't block or restrict. And if it goes unnecessarily long, we restrict it, but we don't block. Yeah.
So, yeah, another classic question. How do you balance professional and personal? You are sisters and you're co-founders and you have families, little children, motherhood, business. How do you do it all?
I don't do it all. It may look like I'm doing it all, but I have a support system. We all should have a very strong support system, especially women, so that you don't have to do it all by yourself. You ask for help. Even at work, you should have people who are smarter than you, who know better things, that you don't have to train them, they can train you. At home, you have great support system, great staff, great cooks, employ as many people as you want, because that's also amazing. And parents, husbands, in-laws, husbands, no, as in we live together, so sister Jata and I, and that's why husbands. It may sound I have many, but
Stay together in the same house.
we all stay together on the same floor. We share a dog, we share the kids, we share everybody, and it's just so much easier. And the day I started actively raising my hands and saying, "Can you help me out?" it became much easier. Everywhere, every part of my way, even reaching out to you. When I blatantly say that I'm struggling, are you struggling? Can you help me out? It just became so much easier. Why not ask? I think women sometimes just take too much upon ourselves, and I also did. And I struggled. I was not good at everything because I was struggling here or there.
Parents struggle with this thing that I need to prove myself, and that feeling inside is so strong that they stop taking help, thinking that I'll look weaker because you're already.
And you are burning out.
Yes.
And you constant. I've seen so many of my friends and peers burning out because they take too much upon themselves. Like, so there's this thing that we are empowering our women to work professionally, join work, while not empowering men to help at home. So if the same doesn't happen at the same time, you're not empowering both to do both, how does it, work? Because the woman can't be a superwoman. A superwoman, I hate that word.
Yeah.
I hate it because you're that you're putting the crown and saying that now go and do that, and that. You can't do everything. Too much.
Saying that, oh, you can do everything, so let's do it.
Yeah. And this is thing that, someone is putting up. So even I put up sometimes, and I don't cook. I love cooking, but I hardly get some Sundays to cook. I feel like it's meditation. I love doing it. So I take videos of it and I put on my personal Instagram, and people say, oh, you're getting time for this also. And I put up breakfast pictures. People say, how to get time to cook breakfast? I said, no, I'm not doing all of this. Please don't think it's me. I'm working out in the morning. I'm cooking breakfast. I'm sending the kids to school. No, I'm only working out, sending the kids to school. Not everything is done by me. And I have a great person who has been like a family since 8 years, 10 years now, who's helping me out with the kitchen. And she sets my plate up. I'm just putting the picture. I don't want to say that I'm cooking. I can ideate. But I can cook, say, on Sundays, but not every day. And that's sometimes social media makes you think that, oh, she's so great, she's doing everything perfectly. But if you don't say out the other side of it also, where my hair is all like messed up and I'm not in the right state, I'm wearing a night dress and I'm like talking my mind out. If I don't even put that side up, people are appreciating but also struggling, thinking that she's getting it all right and I'm not. So I think you have to show all the sides.
That's the other side of social media. It makes everybody believe that you're living this perfect life, but there is no perfection in life. Everybody has a messy household and is just struggling to get to work every single day.
Yeah, there's nothing called perfect. There's nothing called 100%. I keep telling my people in the company that they say that pura report, no, it's not 100% right. I said, I never want to see 100% right. Just show me 80%, right, and I'll get it. We as founders, and I know about this about you also, that we are so passionate about what we're doing and believe so strongly in what we're doing that it doesn't feel like work at all, and it's intermingled with our lives, and it's how it is. And when people say that, how do you live with your co-founder? She's my sister, and do not talk about work all the time. How do you have family time? So it's just like dinner conversations can move from a vacation to a campaign or to a product, and then again go back somewhere else. It's just seamless, and nobody in the house seems to even bother about it. And Sujata and I are like soulmates. So hilarious it is that we're together in the office, and we coming back home, having food together, and the whole family is there. We go to bed, like separate rooms, separate bedrooms, and the kids are asleep. We're still chatting with each other, sending each other things, and the whole bed is shaking because we're laughing. And the husbands are like, "Were you moving? So what happened to you?" And he's like, "Don't tell me you're still talking to Sujata." I'm like, "What?" Like, do you not go stop? I'm like, I should stop. I like, bye Sujata. I'm just like waking up everyone because I'm laughing so loudly. Yeah, that's how it is.
That's so
Intermingled.
sweet,
Yeah.
to build something like this with somebody so close to you. And,
Yeah.
just being on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and I think that's worked really wonderful for us, because since we know each other's personal side, or if it's a low day for her, I know the personal side. She doesn't have to tell me that she'll be off at work maybe one day. So it's just, I'll just take up more, and vice versa. It's easier. Yeah.
And, how does your son feel about your work? And, how he sees mama going to work every day and, in these beautiful saris and all. What does he say about, or does he understand what you're doing at all? He's only 3.5, right?
Yes, he is. It's beautiful how he understands what a working parent look like. And I've been traveling since he was 3 months old, and he's seen it day in, day out. So he doesn't complain or cry. This time when I was coming to Bangalore, it was suddenly I felt like he's grown up, like a 10-year-old. He said, "Mama, you get very hungry in the flight." So he got a school tiffin box, filled it with peanuts, and packed it and said that you can eat this, but you get bored. Do you want to read something? I said, "Oh, not bad. It's too much. Like, what happened to you?"
My little man.
Yeah. And he climbed the bookshelves, and he got some book for me. Luckily, I didn't read it before. So he just put it in the bag, said, "Now I'll call the lift to go and come back soon and sleep with me." I said, wow. I think you raise kids and you train them the way you want them to. And, if you set the expectations right, for not just the kids, for generally the whole family, it's easy.
Yeah.
And I think the mom guilt part is so real that it haunts you. And it comes to us also. And to me, in fact, it comes a little more. But I've tried to stay away from it and balance it out. Now it doesn't come anymore. Initially, it was difficult. But now I'm so away from it, because when I said that, when I am doing something, I'm at that present at that moment fully. When I'm spending, even if I'm spending say 2 hours or 3 hours with my son, I'm fully present, and I know that's very quality time that I'm giving in the whole day, and he is happy, I am happy.
Yeah. I think children are just very fast. Like my daughter, she's 7 and my son is only 1.
Yeah.
But they're fine when I go out and travel and they're like, "Okay, mama, tata, come soon."
Beautiful. Yeah.
So they know that their mom is doing some work which is important for her, and they have adjusted
normal,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's normal. So whenever somebody asks me what is mom guilt, I say, "Okay, okay hota hai."
I just built the mom store.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, Tanya, you've taken your brand from social media to online and now retail. What has been your retail journey, and now how many stores do you have?
It's I can't believe that we really have stores, and that many. It's 10 stores now, and in the next by this month end we'll have 2 more, so 12.
Wow.
It's again, when I said that initially, if you have asked even like 3 years back, I wouldn't have ever thought that I'll have so many stores, or because we had 2 stores and we were very happy and content with it. But slowly, when we were doing exhibitions across India, we realized the need for offline shopping, the need for touching and feeling and seeing yourself in it and feeling beautiful. And once you do that, there are a lot of people who were sitting on the fence who knew the brand. They loved the brand, the way it has grown, but didn't own a single product. It's a strange thing that we noticed. And once they saw it and felt it in their city, they converted big time. And the AOV was much higher. So we thought that people really need that feeling of touching and feeling. And there's a different audience. A lot of people don't shop online. They don't like it. And also the dependency on Meta.
Yeah.
So high. And
Yeah.
the algorithm, the big muscle powers are spending so much. The CAC is increasing so much.
Yes,
more.
and you can't really control who it is showing to. Yeah.
Tough.
It's very tough to, keep optimizing the algorithm, but the moment you raise the spends, then your CAC goes up significantly.
I need to talk to you about it. I want to learn more from you. It's very recently that we have started doing it ourselves. It's so tough, and we know that the dependency is too much, that it's scary. One day they act up, and
Yeah.
what do? Your spends are so much, and you are building up inventory to look forward to it, and suddenly it's one glitch and you're crying. So, and also, to see that offline is generally working, and also dependency is too much here. So we started opening stores, and they are franchisee stores, most of them, and it's beautiful. The kind of ecosystem we built with the customers taking up franchisees, because for the love of the brand, it's amazing. Till now, all the franchisee owners are women.
Oh, wow.
And not till now, like 7-8 stores. And it's amazing how they vouch for the brand.
And your stores are beautiful. They're just like a
Thank you.
manifestation of, what we see on social media, the beautiful handloom and everything. And it's just like replicating that into the store.
Thank you.
And you get this nice aroma as soon as you walk in of the flowers. And so I think very smartly you've actually catered to all the senses. The touch, the feel, the smell, the skin, everything.
It is, and it's like a dream store we are making. The way we imagined it, that you summed it up so beautifully, and we just wanted how people feel on Instagram. They should feel the same way, and the language should be the same. The warmth should be the same, and it's tough to get it sometimes, but with keeping the elements that is very close to our hearts. For example, there are murals in all the stores. It's hand painted by our team mostly.
Oh, wow. Your team is
Students we give projects to from different colleges, and it's just hand painted and raw, and it's not stenciled or not perfect artists who have come and painted it. It's our team, students. They have come and done the mural, and every mural has a essence of the city. We try to keep the essence of the city in every store, and whatever we get locally, we try and introduce that in the store.
building your stores in-house?
Not always, but there's an architect involved from the local space, and our team is working with them very closely. And it's come out beautifully, and we have the greens, we have natural light as much as we can. So the elements are the same. So the vibes are the same. But I think every store, every city has a different element and a different vibe. So people who travel to different parts of this country, they all visit the stores, and they said that we want to visit all 12 stores, so to feel how beautifully it's done. It's still the same, but different.
I think people believe that e-commerce has grown a lot in India, and brands are flourishing online and everything. But I feel that there's still so much janta who is still very retail oriented, who are looking for experiences, who are looking to go there and experience the brand.
Yes.
So do you also believe that omni-channel is a way to go for D2C?
बोलने में बहुत मजा आता है omni-channel. But just सोचने में इतना आसान है कि यहाँ से खरीदा, यहाँ पे रिटर्न कर दिया, exchange कर दिया. But to get the systems right for a small brand, it's very difficult. different systems talking to each other, getting it right without any glitch. It's tough. We haven't been able to achieve it yet. Loyalty points should be common across online and offline. Just to even get there,
It's so difficult
this is a lot of hard
to get
work,
the systems talk to each other seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. Tech is going to enable a lot, but to get it right, to have all the systems in place, and also the teams to adapt to it,
Yeah.
it's a very long journey. And I think Omni channel is something that must happen because the customer is the same. Yahan kharida, wahan kharida. The person is the same, and they need to, be able to, seamlessly transfer from here to there. But I think it's necessity that people who are present in both the places have to have seamlessness and omni-channel. But we'll get there.
Don't definitely will.
Yeah.
And it's also amazing, आपका story that you have scaled so much without raising any funds. And you've done it completely bootstrapped. And, I also as a founder know that how difficult it is. So, what is the secret sauce behind that? How did you manage to keep rolling on the cash that you were getting and not raise any funds, but still scale so beautifully?
Honestly, it's not that the thought didn't come to us. It did. But it also went away again. Because we thought that, there's so much that still needs to be done before ramping it up. And if the systems are ready for a ramp up, and even if you put in a lot of money, sometimes it doesn't always fly.
Right.
Right? And once you take a call and it doesn't fly, it fails. And you can't just take a call in your whims and fancies. So we are very mindful because the vision that we have for the brand, the way we started it, we would never want it to get diluted. And that's the reason we've stayed away. And we have seen a very beautiful organic growth of the brand year on year. So we will not rush and do something very drastic and regret it. There are a lot of things like if it's not a fully well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
how will it hold all that pressure and the money coming in and, that rush? So there's no going back once you do it. So what are your thoughts on it?
I've also had the same thoughts that let me build something which is foundationally secure, which is foundationally strong, so that when that time comes, it is just about scale. Nothing should be breaking down like a pack of cards.
Yes.
But every time the optimization only keeps happening and you're like, okay, this foundation is broken, let me fix this. अभी इसको fix कर लेते हैं, अभी marketplace fix कर लेते हैं, अभी digital marketing fix कर लेते हैं. उसमें साल ही निकल जाते हैं. And growth is something that, from one day to another day, you will feel like कि कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. बल्कि 2 step आगे जाके ना 1 step पीछे आ गई. लेकिन when you see your growth over a period of 5 years or 6 years, you'll be like, oh my God, मैं कहाँ थी?
Because we've come a long way, both of us, honestly. Both the brands have seen such a beautiful journey. It's amazing. And honestly, sometimes it can also so happen that the brand doesn't need to pay, not show the top line only. You don't have to grow just to grow. At what cost are you growing? What's your vision behind it? If it's to maybe employ so many more weavers and, directly work with them, still the way we are working and, empowering the whole community, then great. But if that doesn't stay intact and you're just growing because there's a scope of growth for the brand.
Not losing your personal touch.
Yeah. And that's what we always say, at what cost are you growing? If it makes sense. So yeah, the question will always come, and if then the answer is it's intact, we may grow like that. High five to the idea.
And I think both of us started around similar times. I think you started a couple of years earlier and catered to the millennial women audience first, because those were the people catching on to Instagram at that time. And now very quickly, the audience is comprising more and more of Gen Z who have a very different customer behavior and attitude. So how will reorganizing yourself to cater to this audience, which will continue to grow in the next 5 years?
So I define our customers as the common thread amongst the millennials and the Gen Zs is that they are very comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah.
And that's one thread we stick to, no matter what the age group is or where they live. They're comfortable and they want to own up their individuality, their opinions, and they are not scared to say who they are. And that's a common thing. And our content, our products, everything speaks like that. And so we don't have to really balance it out. And Gen Zs, I think it's great to be working with them. Our team has many Gen Zs, and the average age group is that. So we get
Are
to
you
learn
guys
a
the
lot.
oldest people in your office?
There's one person who's the third employee who is the oldest, Anita ji, and she's gonna retire with us. She's the oldest, and we are always like, whatever special thing happens, she starts it, she cuts the ribbon and all of that.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, she takes care of the logistics.
Oh wow.
She's the oldest, but otherwise, yeah, we are.
I'm the oldest in my company.
Yeah. But there are smarter people than us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's nothing to do with it. And again, the Gen Zs, right? They are so, I think, in a very good way, mature.
They are very secure about themselves.
Yeah.
You know that you're saying that this is a bad and there are no fucks in it? Gen Zs are like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's beautiful. And I feel that there's so much to learn, and it's great
and
to
I was
become
like,
like
why
that.
wasn't I like this at my 20s? Why was I always like so conscious and so much under pressure?
Yeah, and also, I think the one great quality about Gen Zs is that they don't want to please anyone. Like, I'm me. It's take it or leave it.
Very tough, but great. I
Yeah.
admire it.
It's tough and great in both ways. And if you because that's the age group you have to live with, and that's the audience, that's the workforce. Everything is them right now. So might as well learn how to
Deal
love
with
them.
it. Or love them.
Love them. You have to love them.
Cool. So now we will have a fun segment, which is rapid fire, in which I will ask you all these short forms on Instagram,
Okay. Oh, okay.
which all the Gen Zs use,
Okay.
and let me see if you know them. I'm sure you do. You're the one posting yourself.
No.
IMO.
In my opinion, I use it.
BAE.
Wow, my brain decided to not stay with me. Be it like boyfriend, best friend, like what is it? Best at everything. No. Before anyone else. Oh my god. My bae will leave me. You'll be like lost. What bae are you saying?
Yeah.
No idea.
I took so long to get it. Like I had to Google it, what people are meaning.
But best at everything is better.
Yeah. But before anyone.
It's before anyone else. But
It's my bae, right? My best friend, like that.
yeah. I got it right. Just say the right one, okay? Not the previous one.
Oh,
Oh, that I know. Outfit of the day.
TBT.
Throwback Thursdays.
Correct.
I know it.
Yeah, from the social media OG.
Of course. This is like a must know.
FIP.
Follow your passion.
No, for your page.
For your page. Sorry, follow your passion is better.
For
FYP.
your passion. Yeah, that's better.
Follow your page. No, sorry. For your page.
For your page.
Too much information.
Ah.
Not interested.
I didn't know this, sir.
Oh, TMI. Oh my god. our Gen Zs use this a lot. A lot.
Yeah, TMI.
TMI.
ICYMI.
I say,
IMI.
you can just say the whole sentence like this. This short form is too long. Incredible content. You may miss. Might miss. Yeah, incredible content you might miss.
In case you missed it, you were very close.
Listen, I think my full forms are much better than the
We should
original
document
ones.
it and
With-
put it there. Full forms to follow.
Okay, from today, it's my way.
What's your go-to snack while curating content on social media? Go-to snack.
Like literally eating or like,
Yeah. What is the
What
thing
about
you want to
snacking on?
snack on when you're creating all the content and getting tired in front of the camera?
healthy stuff. Black coffee and dry fruits.
I saw your
5 p.m.
one of your reels where you were eating pistas and the whole team is having peras.
Yeah, look at them. I hate sweets and hence
You
it's
hate
a-
sweets?
I hate sweets. I love everything else in the world. Just can't have
Oh, and
sweets.
you're Bengali from the land of Rasagullas.
I like fish.
I feel like
Balance it out. Something I like.
if Suta had a social media mascot, and I think you have many, what would it be? You guys.
No, I want it to be something. You know, I've been like really thinking hard and I've been wanting a mascot. We haven't come up with anything yet. We've been discussing because, especially in the retail stores, because this is a huge space you get and it's just the logo that we have always
Yeah.
because we don't have a mascot. So, if you ask me now, I just have to come up wildly on something, it will be like a smelly cat with a pink bow or a pink rose on its head. Smelly cat, smelly cat.
That reminds me of Phoebe.
Yeah. So I just feel so. I'll tell you why I came up with that because the Meow sari, which is a super hit, and that was the first printed sari that we had. It was a block printed sari, and
Is
Ila.
that the one Tapsi Pannu was wearing?
Yes. So recently, it's another cat, but she's also wearing that earlier. But that is it's the same base sari, the same with black cats on it and block printed. So when Ila joined us, she said, "Let's have some prints because it's all solid colors." And the first print she made, we said we love animals. Let's make some animals, and she said, "Let's make cats and a dog sari because we are all cats and dog lovers." And so she was drawing like very cute, like cute cat. I said, no, make original stray cats. She again made them regular cats. I said, no, make them like smelly cats and ugly cats and real cats you see on streets. Then she came up with this bent cat and angry cat and like, you know,
But that looks like Frida Kahlo's painting.
that's something. So that like cat is, I feel like you should always own up the other side of you, which is,
You know,
more
ugly
real,
is
right?
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And that's what the cat is. I think mascot, I'll discuss with the team, mascot could be that smelly cat with a pink bow because like pink.
Yeah, no, but I love your logo. It's the needle and thread and suta. It all comes together so beautifully.
Thank you. हमने जब भी लोगो डिजाइन किया था तभी सोचा नहीं था कि it just because we should have a logo हमने सोचा कि बनाएंगे and it just was a handwritten thing and that's why it's टेढ़ा मेढ़ा. अभी जब भी रिटेल स्टोर में वो लगाना है तभी पता चला कि ओह ये सब तो सोचा ही नहीं कभी. ये केस बहुत लंबा है, लोगो इतने छोटू में खत्म हो जाता है, एक का स्टिक बहुत बड़ा है, so they're not balanced out. And ये सब सोचा
Both
कब
3D
था?
modeling way becomes
Yeah. And since the corners are it's a pokey energy, that it's difficult to cut out also to be physically बना रहे हो 3D में. It was just a logo and it resonated with us so much that it stayed and we'll work around it. And thanks for finding it beautiful. It's, again, not perfect.
If you could time travel and only bring one social media post with you, what would it be?
Bring one social media post with me.
I think the question should be, if you would time travel, which era would you time travel to and what kind of sari would you wear?
Oh, wow. Definitely the 60s. or even before that, when people wore saris without a blouse.
Oh, so
But it was so perfect, it was just in like,
yeah.
and पता है वो जो जैसे रैप करते थे कि नहा के आगे ऐसे ही रैप करके ऐसे करके रख दिया.
What's around your body so perfectly, and you're rearing children and pregnant and breastfeeding,
Everything happens in that one attire.
and change that sari into a dhoti sari and then go work in the fields.
Yes, even you can cycle, swim wearing it, and अभी हम बोलते हैं कि इतना difficult है, I need a drape artist, मुझे help चाहिए. And we forget that there's no perfect way to wear a sari. It can be pleats here, pleats there, achal lamba, achal nahi. You can do whatever. It's just a piece of garment and you wrap it. It's called a sari. There's no perfect way.
And I love it, how Sujata does so many reels on how to wear a sari.
Yeah, like so amazing.
So good at it. And it's actually seems very easy on her, but it's very tough to get for somebody who doesn't have practice.
Yes, I think people have to have that ability to experiment and be just comfortable with it. एक बार शुरू किया तो मजा आता है. Honestly, I also took some time to experiment. You will see me always carrying it the same way, but when you get a hang of it, मजा आने लगता है ना.
So then you're like, it's like a canvas on which you can paint.
Yes, true.
And do you now get a lot of requests for draping the saris, or people are buying, what is the split?
So, ये ready to wear, हमने सोचा कि कभी होना नहीं चाहिए. कभी भी नहीं होना चाहिए. इतना easy है, पहन लेना चाहिए, हम सिखा देंगे. But honestly, it's you're just putting something that is your idea on someone else. And when you start doing it as a brand, it's wrong. You can't. You have to understand what the person is going through, and everyone can't be the same. And when we started the ready-to-wear option for all the saris on the website, multiple requests have come in. I won't be able to tell you the exact ratio, but the dealers are handful. Their hands are full, and it's great that a lot of people who are apprehensive to wear a sari, they're starting with a ready-to-wear. And maybe slowly when they start enjoying it, they'll move to the regular one. And sorry, I was so judgmental that I said, nahi hona chahiye, seekh lenge, easy hai, without pin pehen lenge, but no, it's a start.
Today morning while driving here, I was sitting with my marketing head, Kathy, and I was telling her the same thing, that, you should never put yourself to be the customer. A customer is so wildly different from how we think we are. And there are so many trends that we see in the consumer behavior on how people are purchasing, which boggles our mind out कि ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं लोग. But then we need to respect that and give them more of it. And that's what becoming an inclusive brand is about. That adjust everything so that your customer feels comfortable when they step into your space.
True. And I think the greatest way to grow the brand is to listen. And brands who listen, people love those brands, and you listen and do the changes or tweak things. Recently, me and Shraddha started talking to a lot of customers to pick up the phone directly and dial the numbers and say if they want to speak to us. And everybody has spoken to us. Nobody has said that I don't have the time or I don't want to speak now. Everybody has spoken, and such valuable insights they provide for just nothing, for just for the love of the brand. And you don't need consultants, you don't need external advisories if you are listening properly.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's so true. The customers will give you so much of a wealth of information. You'll not even have thought about it as a problem or as an issue.
True.
But it's such a tiny thing if you just fix that, and it just makes so much of a difference. Basically, you start resonating with who's out there using your product.
True. And a lot of times they will not come to you and tell or complain or, because they think that, oh, you have a lot going on and why do you even add to it? But if you just, speak to them and ask them to open up, you hear so much.
And I think social media helps you do that.
A lot. And hence, I think social media has helped brands grow so beautifully. and brands who are still just on social media. The thrift pages who are who are thriving. It's amazing how things are changing and moving to.
And it's also amazing, there are people who are just showing the product and the fabrics and adding a song to it and selling on social media. And my next question was around that only, that so many brands have come up on Instagram. And while you guys have a very large journey behind you, this is now a much more cluttered space.
It is, yeah.
The Indian ethnic fashion or the Indian fashion, or the number of people out there selling stuff on Instagram. So what would be your advice to them to scale in such a competitive and cluttered kind of an environment?
Staying true to what you started with, and giving some value or having a value proposition for the product, because the same product someone else might be doing, or similar products. Why will someone come to you and pay the price that you're asking for? If you're saying out aloud by what are you selling and what is the value add, and honestly communicating and being authentic is like how we started saying, being authentic sticks, and people remember you. And always tell your story, because that's what people remember more than you just being a brand. Stories stay with people, and people are ready to know the brand more, and then make a purchase. People are more informed now. They can research on marketplace, on different platforms, and then they make the purchase. So if you're true, and your product has to be great, that's by default. The product has to be amazing. It has to have very good quality for the value the money they're paying. So value for money is there, but just say it out loud. Tell and not sell is one mantra that really works on social media. That yeah.
So how will you describe your Suta follower in 3 words?
Independent, loyal, and amazing. I think comfortable in their own skin. That's 4 words, but comfortable in their own skin. That's the Suta customer.
Yeah, beautiful. So I think we are at the end of our podcast. And I'd like to thank you, Tanya, for sparing out your time and coming here. It was so lovely talking to you. And it's an absolute pleasure to see, how well you and Sujata have done and how you're growing. Every time you post about a story, I also feel proud that, I've known these people for so long, and we've been in touch on and off. And yeah, it's amazing. And it's a proud moment for the entire women founder community to see your growth.
Whatever you have said, the feeling is mutual, and I would have said the same thing for you, that I've been spending time here. I'm so happy. I forgot all of it. Again, I forgot all of it. I just felt like we're sitting at a cafe, talking, sharing our journeys. And honestly, the way we have grown 2 babies, like the Monster and Suta, the 2 babies growing up, it's just beautiful how they have grown. And I think women founders talking to each other, sharing their journeys and growing each other, empowering each other is the best thing that can happen in this ecosystem. And the support system is a core part of my life, and I'm so thankful. So thankful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.